Both sides. Woo! How about that one?
That's our new leaders right there.
Big Silly!
University of Montevallo, 24-96. National champions, Wallace State, Briar and Clinton. What's up, everybody? Welcome into this latest episode of the Rapala We Are Collegiate Bass Podcast. Fun show on hand today. The latest winners of the MLF Southeast Regional at Pickwick Lake, Blake Milligan and Matthew Parrish from Auburn University, got the win with 18 pounds, 7 ounces. Blake, let's bring you in here, man. Happened less than a week ago now, just last Friday. You guys got this major victory. Saw the emotion on the live stream away in that you were experiencing. Talk a little bit about that moment, man, of winning a major college event and kind of everything that rushed over you at that time.
Yeah, it's just it's a great feeling. You know, we fish all these tournaments. We try so hard, you know. I mean, nobody knows how many hours go into it in the cold and the rain and hours and hours and hours of trying, and you finally get one, and you're the best for a day, you know, and it's a great feeling. It's overwhelming for sure.
Any major victory out on the college trail is always a big one. Getting that win there at Pickwick Lake School, Auburn University, located in Alabama, that helps as well, being close to home, getting a win, protecting those home waters a little bit. Though it may not be the lake you fish on the most, it's in your region, taking care of that right there as well. Matthew, talk a little bit real quick. Let's get your pulse also. Same question I asked Blake. Man, what's just the emotion of that major victory, big field like you were competing in with some of the best teams in the nation down there? You guys got the win, came out in first place. How'd that feel?
It was just an unbelievable feeling. Me and Blake said throughout the day when we hopped on our first spot, we both said after we caught the first 2 fish that we felt like we were going to throw up. And we honestly felt nauseous throughout the entire day. And then walking up on that stage was just an unbelievable feeling when we weighed in 18.7 and took the lead by 6 ounces. It was just we were both just speechless and didn't know what was going on. It was unbelievably enough, winning was cool and everything, but it was my first MLF event, so it's just a crazy experience for me as far as being my biggest tournament ever fishing, and then just being able to pull off the win as well.
Quite the change in emotions, quite the roller coaster ride. You guys go from wanting to throw up on the water to now you're up on the stage throwing the trophy up over your head as winners of that MLF Southeast Regional at Pickwick Lake. Let's talk about the fishing now for the Association of Collegiate Anglers here with the Bass Pro Shops Collegiate Bass Fishing Series. Pickwick Lake, a fishery we're very familiar with. Not during this time of the year, however. We fished it during the spring once. We're going back in the spring in 23, and then the championship, obviously, for several years now, happening early summer, late May, right there around Memorial Day weekend. And so the fishing that y'all experienced this week, probably a little different than what we're used to. So talk a little about it, Blake. What were y'all doing? What areas of the lake were you locating? Was there anything maybe that you were doing similar to a summer pattern that was a little offshore, away from the bank where everybody else might have been beating it to death? Or were you up there throwing a bunch of baits, blowing down the bank, and just trying to see what you could run across?
Yeah, we were about mid-lake, and we were off the bank. We were out there last week, and or I guess the week before our tournament, and we stuck to the bank and did what everybody else was doing, and it was not going great. So we went offshore, we scanned around, and we found those main river bars. We found some fish on a couple of them, caught some big fish in practice. We were throwing an A-rig, and we would just fish those bars, and we would kind of rotate through them. The bars we fished were in about 6 to 10, 6 to 12 feet, and then some of the bars had some wood on them, and you could find those stumps and stuff on Panoptics and throw the A-rig by the stumps, and that's how we caught most of our fish.
Pretty typical fall patterns for what we've heard this year so far. You know, we fished at Kentucky Lake for the Big Bass Bash, Bass Pro Shops Big Bass Bash presented by Berkeley at the end of September, and then the AFCO Collegiate Bass Open for us was at Lake Dardanelle in Russellville, Arkansas just a few weeks ago, and both of the winning anglers there said similar things, man. Like, you hear fall, especially in this part of the country where we're at, that Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, not exactly similar, but not that different either. It's kind of rocky. You've got all of these were on rivers, 2 on the Tennessee River in particular, and you find these different little quirks, man, where the river channel swings in real tight to a bank, or there's some islands with some creek channels and little ditches and depressions, and everybody gets real juiced up about, man, shallow, let's throw crankbaits, let's throw topwaters, let's blow down the bank and we'll find them. But you pull off a little bit, and that's where we've heard teams finding these success here this fall. Fall fishing can be tough, man, and you get out there and you find them in these little areas, and especially in a one-day derby like y'all were just in, you get on them, you wear them out for a day, you come out on top with 18 pounds and 7 ounces. Matthew, talk a little bit more in depth about what particular, he was talking about an Alabama rig. What were some different things y'all were throwing, or did you lock that one setup in your hand and it was win or go home with the Alabama rig?
Well, what's crazy is it was win or go home with the Alabama rig. We threw everything the first day of practice. After figuring out they'd buy the Alabama rig, we wanted to throw something else because we knew if we ran by the same stump a few times, they would get onto it and know that it wasn't a real school of bait fish. We threw every single thing in the box, had probably 25 rods on the deck, and could not catch them on anything but an Alabama rig. So it was just a live or die by the Alabama rig. If they weren't hitting it, I mean, we probably wouldn't have even really had a limit if they weren't hitting it, honestly. So we just had to live or die by that on them shell beds out there.
We're talking with Blake Milligan and Matthew Parrish from Auburn University, winners of the MLF Southeast Regional at Pickwick Lake. Had a 5-fish limit for 18 pounds, 7 ounces. Let's talk now about the significance of that event towards our School of the Year race, the Bass Pro Shop School of the Year presented by Abu Garcia. Auburn had teams finish in first and third. So Blake and Matthew finished in first, Rob and Carson third place. That event right there earning you guys well over 2,000 points. For the season gets you up to 14,335. We'll talk specifically about that number in a minute. Blake, that day right there, man, a great day's work for y'all. Didn't change your ranking by any means. Y'all enter that event in fifth. You're coming out of it in fifth, but it's very valuable points. That's going to look really good on the resume going forward here into the second half of the season. A first and third place finish. Talk about the importance of that day there at Pickwick and those two top three placements by Auburn University.
Yeah, I think we have something special on the team this year. I feel like a win in a third place, I mean, that's pretty decent. You know, that's pretty good. And I feel like it brought the team together almost. Like, to win on that level and to have a third-place finish on that level in a big tournament, I feel like the team is brought together right now, and I feel like we're hungry. You know, we want that School of the Year title, so I feel like it brought us all together, and we're ready to get at the next one.
Matthew, what is the game plan for the team now? We're kind of done with major events until sometime in January for the most part. Some teams may still have an out-of-conference event, or I think there's a Southern MLF happening in a few weeks. But other than that, it's a few school-run events here and there to get some 100-point deals, and then things really crank up in the spring. What's the game plan? What's the mentality for Auburn University? Is one of the many schools inside the top 10 right now that's never won the School of the Year race for the ACA. What are y'all trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish going forward over the last 5-6 months before we get to Lake Hartwell and announce the winner and number one team for the 22-23 season?
Well, like Blake said, we just really got the ball rolling this past week. We got three wins this past weekend, 2 of them being on Pickwick and then a Southern Collegiate Bass win. And it just really got us fired up, and we're ready to roll. Once we get into spring, I mean, us qualifying for the national championship and stuff is really exciting. We're just ready to get the ball rolling for the spring and get after it.
I'm going to get a little analytical here, so try to follow along, and Blake, I'll ask you a question following this. So on our website, collegiatebasschampionship.com, yesterday we updated those standings. The top 25 are up there, as well as complete rankings, national rankings for the Bass Pro Shop School of the Year presented by Abu Garcia. And in an article that I posted to the website, did a little bit of a dive, not too deep, but got in there a little bit, looked at the standings, analyzed it some, and so I'm going to give you some data here, and I'll ask you a question in just a minute. You guys right now, Auburn University, have 14,335 points. In first place is McKendree with 18,835. So in front of you guys, McKendree and Adrian in particular, they've maxed out on the total number of MLF events they could fish to this point. So going into the spring, they can earn points at 2 more to get to their 5 as the program details stand. You guys, This was just your first MLF event. So what I've done here when I've talked about it at the office and thought of it in my head, it's like, okay, most of these schools that really want to contend and go out and do well, you're earning a little over 2,000, between 2,000 and 2,400 points at these MLF regional events or the MLF of major events that are going to happen in the spring. On average, if you're going to contend, that's what you got to do. So if we look at it from that perspective, you guys are at 18,835, or the first place is at 18,835. If we added, say, 4,000 points because you still have 2 events behind them that you've not yet fished, that puts you guys right there in the mix with the top teams. That gets you maybe even in second, I believe, at the moment. So y'all are in contention right there with the top teams. It might not look like it right now, but you're there. Talk about the significance of that, Blake. We don't have the schedule varies. So it's not like everybody plays week 1 like they do in college football, and then we rank everybody. Everybody plays in week 2, and then we rank everybody. This is the way the program's designed. This is how it's laid out. Though the standings show you in 5th, man, you guys are right there in the hunt. How important is that for the team to be able to have that information and knowledge going in, knowing that, man, we take care of business, we're right in the hunt?
Yeah, we talk about it with the team. Like, we're sitting in 5th right now, but we all know that, like, it doesn't necessarily mean we're in 5th because, like you said, we have more events to fish that other teams necessarily have already fished. So we're hungry. We're ready to roll. A good finish at our first MLF event. That's exactly what we needed. We have so many boys from so many different hometowns. Like, we're so diverse on this team, and I feel like we can go into the next MLF event, the next big event, and I feel like one of our teams is going to be up there. It seems like that's how it always is. It doesn't seem like it's ever the same guy. It just lines up right for somebody on our team, and we're ready to go. We're ready to try to win that school of the year race.
All right, Matthew, final question, man. Don't let us down. Important question as well. Dig into your feels, dive into your emotions a little bit. Let's say that everything plays out and Auburn's able to win. How awesome would it be at the end of this year to make history for the program? You guys have never won the Bass Pro Shop School of the Year presented by Abu Garcia. We're in a really tight race last year and let it slip a little bit. To be able to finish the season here now at the end of the 23 spring season and to have that trophy and know that y'all were the best bass fishing team in the country that year, how awesome would that be and what would it mean?
It'd be an absolute dream of mine. I've bass fished my whole life, and this is my first year fishing for college. Never got a chance to fish in high school. So like Blake said, we're hungry and we're ready to get after it. It'd just be an unbelievable, outstanding feeling for all of us, not just me. It'd be for the entire team. I think there's almost 80 kids on our roster. So, it'd just be an unbelievable feeling for all 80 of us and just a huge thing for the university just to get the ball rolling for the years to come, too.
That'll do it for our interview here with Blake Milligan and Matthew Parrish, winners from Auburn University there at Pickwick Lake for the MLF Regional that took place just last week. Valuable points for them. Got them sitting in 5th for the Bass Pro Shop School of the Year presented by Abu Garcia. When we get back out on the trail next spring, we'll actually be right back there at Pickwick Lake in Florence, Alabama for the Pickwick Slam in April. Be sure to head over to our website, collegiatebasschampionship.com. Check out the full schedule, all of our great programs we've got happening over there. Guys, Blake and Matt, thanks for the time today. We'll get you headed back to class. Best of luck out on the tournament trail, and best of luck to Auburn for the rest of the season.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Fishing is all about connecting with nature. Then grabbing nature by the lip and holding it up for a picture.
To fishermen and other liars, the time you spent on the docks, the banks, the boats, the lines you cast, and the hooks you set. These moments you share with the people you love, the fish you never forget, and the tales that get taller with every retelling. Make memories that'll last a lifetime with Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here.